Okay, in the previous video we looked at what's with replacement versus without replacement. Now we're going to talk about when you multiply numbers together versus when you add numbers together. So let's start off with the multiplication principle. Alright, and I'm going to read this to you and then I'll break it down. So let E1 and E2 be two events. The first event can occur, so E1 can occur m sub 1 different ways. After E1 event 1 has occurred, event 2 can occur in its own number of ways. The number of ways that two events can occur is the product of those two numbers, m1 times m2. So let's think back to the previous example with the rolling of the dice. Alright, so event 1 could be like rolling the dice the first time. Alright, and that can occur 6 different ways. So then event 2 would be rolling the dice the second time after you rolled the dice the first time. And since you did replacement, you replace the number you rolled the first time, right? You're not crossing off one of the sides of the die when you roll it. That can also occur 6 ways. So there are 36 different ways the two dice can be rolled when you replace. Without replacement, so the ping pong ball example, alright, so the second one we did, alright, there's still 6 ping pong balls, so that would be event 1, picking the first ping pong ball. Event 2 would be picking the second ping pong ball after you pick the first one. Well, since in that example you didn't replace the ping pong balls, there's only 5 ways to do that. So to find the total ways to do that, you multiply them together, and there are 30 ways total. So I don't suggest you make a table like I did in this example. I don't suggest you make this table every time. You should rather just decide, whether I'm going to multiply or add, and then, find the total number of ways that way. But the table is a good starting point. Okay, so here's a multiplication, an example where you use the multiplication principle. So how many different telephone numbers are possible within each area code? So area code, that would be like, probably your area code is 201 if you live in Bergen County, or 551 or whatever. 212 is New York City. So that part can't be chosen. So when you do 201, oops, not 200, that's fixed. So you can't choose that part. But the next 7 numbers, you can choose them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so I like to do these little dashes, to represent how many ways each event can occur. So after the 201 part, let's say we're in that area code, there's going to be 8 numbers that you can start your phone number with. So it can't begin with a 0 or a 1. So you have 10 different digits, 0 through 9, but it can't be 0 or 1, so that eliminates 2 of the options. But your second number could be any of the 10 digits, and so can the third number, and the fourth number, and the fifth number, and the sixth number, and the seventh number. So like if your phone number was 555-1234, common movie phone number, alright, that first number, you only had 8 options, and then these 6 numbers could be any of the 10 digits. So your final answer is going to be 8 million. 8 times 10 to the 6th power. That's how many phone numbers that you can have with these restrictions. One area code that's fixed, can't start with a 0 or 1. Alright, and we multiply these together because you choose the first digit in your phone number with the second digit, and then those 2 digits, you have to choose them with a third digit and a fourth digit and a fifth and a sixth and a seventh. So since we're doing those events together, you're picking your first digit with your second, with your third, you're going to multiply. Alright, now let's look at when you add. Okay, so the quick answer is you use the addition principle when events can't occur together. It's either one thing or the other. So let's read this. According to the addition principle, if one event can occur m ways and a second event with no common outcomes with the first event can occur n ways, then the first or second event can occur m plus n ways. So if it's either this or that, you add them together. So if you were at a restaurant and they had 2 vegetarian options and 5 non-vegetarian options, alright, how many ways can you pick one of them? Well, it's either you pick the 2 vegetarian options or the 5, meat options. So there's 7 ways that can happen. But it's not like you're picking if you were picking a vegetarian side dish with a non-vegetarian entree, and there's 2 of the vegetarian and 5 of the non-vegetarian entree, then you would multiply them because you're doing them together. But if it's one or the other, you add the different ways. So in this example, how many telephone numbers are, that's a typo, in the 201 and 973 area codes? Well, we just saw that there were 8 million telephone numbers with just the 201 area code, and there would be the same amount in the 973 area code, and you can't have both those area codes together, right? You have one area code, it's one or the other. You can't have 2 area codes. So we're going to add them together. So with those 2 area codes, there would be 16 million different phone numbers. So a little way I remember that is if it's this event and that event, you multiply the number of ways. If it's this or that, you got to pick one, all right, then you add.